with clowns, but you not.
Calm down.
Mr. Milner had one dream to build a family, and he believes that dream made him a target. He is in court today claiming Ms. Heath used his desire for commitment against him, leading him to sign the birth certificate for 3-month-old Zakario Milner Jr.
Mr. Milner, you claim the defendant, Ms. Heath, deceived you into believing that you fathered her 3-month-old son, Zakario Milner Jr.
Under false pretenses. Ms. Heath denies the manipulation entirely and insists her feelings were genuine from the start. The birth certificate has already been signed, but the biological question has not been answered, and that gap is exactly why they are standing before Judge Lake.
You say you love her son and would be devastated to find out that you've been loving another man's child.
Mr. Milner had been open about what he wanted from the beginning. He told Ms. Heath early that he was looking for something real, a committed relationship, and eventually a family. He describes the moment he shared that with her as the moment things shifted.
I feel like she been deceiving me because when I first met her, I told her straight up what I want. And that is, I want a family. I want to be a family man.
Suggesting she identified his desire as an opportunity rather than responding to it authentically. Ms. Heath pushed back on that characterization without backing down. Two people remembered the same early conversations in completely different ways, and neither version made the other look particularly good.
I'm done reading the streets. I'm really tired of that. And I feel like at the time, as soon as I said that, the light came up above her head like, bing!
Their story moved fast from the very first day. Mr. Milner had recently relocated from Louisiana to Texas and met Ms. Heath through people they had in common. The connection developed quickly, and within just a few days.
So I think I understood that testimony.
That is true.
So you met, you exchanged numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
They had agreed to be in an exclusive relationship. Then 2 weeks into that relationship, Ms. Heath announced she was pregnant. For someone who had just arrived in a new state and barely had time to unpack, that timeline hit Mr. Milner with a force he had not been prepared for.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I get to talking to him, I get to feeling him out a little more.
Ms. Heath said she recognized the signs of pregnancy almost immediately, as she had experienced the same early awareness with her other children. Mr. Milner found the speed of everything difficult to accept. His own family members added pressure by reinforcing his doubts and the combination of a 2-week relationship.
And I kind of had these bodily feelings. Me and Mr. Milner were joking about, what if you are, what if you're not? And I'm just like,
and a pregnancy announcement was a sequence he could not easily rationalize. His mind kept returning to the timeline, and the timeline kept refusing to settle.
I'm just like, I don't want to be, I got 3 kids, I don't need another one, this was not.
The physical circumstances of their first encounter complicated things further. A condom had broken during that initial intimate moment, which meant Mr. Milner understood there was a biological possibility from the very beginning. But the possibility became a crisis when Ms. Heath later broke down.
She's sitting there, we watching TV, her head is in my lap. Me and her is talking real well. Next thing I know, she just bust out the tears.
Admitted she was not fully certain about the paternity herself. She also acknowledged that she had not consistently used protection with the other man who had been in her life before Mr. Milner. That admission landed in the courtroom and did not leave quietly.
Just go straight to crying. I don't know if the baby yours or not.
That is not.
Ms. Heath confirmed there had been another man in the picture prior to her relationship with Mr. Milner. She framed her honesty about this as evidence of good faith. Mr. Milner framed the same information as evidence that the dates and the timeline simply did not support the conclusion she was asking him to accept.
I thought you all were in a committed relationship.
It happened prior to Mr. Milner.
He had been doing the math repeatedly, and the numbers kept raising questions that conversation alone was not resolving. The paternity test had become the only calculation he trusted.
Milner. That's why I don't understand. I understand his doubt, but I don't understand the fuel to his fire is like I cheated on him.
A statement from a third party entered the proceedings, and it added weight to the concerns already on the table. An employee had confirmed hearing Ms. Heath make remarks that were inconsistent with the account she had been presenting in court about her behavior.
Milner, I even contacted that gentleman.
You even told me that.
And made sure.
You told me that.
And made sure.
During the relevant period. Then another detail surfaced. Ms. Heath had also been involved with a married man around the same time. She did not want to believe that man could be the father and had not informed him of the possibility. The number of variables in this case was growing.
Did you not tell me that the condom broke on you?
I never said the condom broke. When did I say that? No, I did not.
Despite every doubt he carried, Mr. Milner had signed the birth certificate. He wanted the baby to be his, and that desire had been strong enough to push him past his own hesitation in that delivery room. But he had been clear with the court about what the result would mean for the relationship going forward if the DNA confirmed.
Did you ever tell the other man that he could be the biological father?
No, ma'am. When I called him, I strictly asked him.
He was not the biological father. He would not remain in the situation. That condition made the envelope Judge Lake was holding the actual hinge point of 2 lives simultaneously. Like and subscribe, because the result that follows this testimony lands harder than anything said in that courtroom today.
About the condom. Period, point blank. He was like, no, you made sure that I used condoms. He was
Judge Lake asked Mr. Milner directly whether he was prepared for whatever truth the results contained. The question landed in a way that confirmed what his expression had already been communicating. He was not entirely sure he was ready, but he was out of alternatives. Zachario Jr. was 3 months old and already carrying a name built on hope rather than confirmed biology.
Mr. Milner, you are the father.
Mr. Milner sat forward. Ms. Heath held still. Judge Lake held the envelope that carried the only answer in the room that had not already been contradicted by someone else's account. The moment had arrived. Mr. Fisher believed he had everything: a newborn daughter named Sophia, a woman he loved, and a future taking shape exactly the way he had hoped. Then Ms. Doyle sat him down and dismantled it in a single conversation.
Mr. Fisher, you claim you made the biggest mistake of your life by signing the birth certificate for
She confessed to being unfaithful and admitted that Sophia might not be his biological child. Mr. Fisher had signed that birth certificate with complete certainty and was now in a courtroom questioning whether that certainty had ever been his to have.
For 2-month-old Sophia. You say your fiance and admitted you may not be her father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The first month of Sophia's life had been genuinely joyful for Mr. Fisher. He described it as a period of pure happiness, new fatherhood, unfolding the way he had imagined it would. Then the confession arrived and everything that had felt solid became uncertain overnight.
I love Brittany and I love Sophia to death. They're my world, but she lied to me. She kept the truth from me, and
He had not stopped loving Sophia, and he had not stopped loving Ms. Doyle, but both of those feelings were now operating in a space that had been permanently altered by information he had not been given a choice about receiving.
And it kills me. I hope I am Sophia's father. I love her to death. That's my baby.
So you say you love her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Doyle's account of how the infidelity happened carried its own painful layer. She had been on vacation when a text message reached her claiming Mr. Fisher had been unfaithful. Believing the accusation was true, she turned to a stranger for comfort, and a one-night encounter followed.
Well, when me and one of her family members met, we became best friends. Like, we was close like this.
The text that triggered her response was false. She had acted on a lie, and the consequences of that action were now sitting in a courtroom as a paternity case. The original accusation had been invented, and the response to it had been real and permanent.
He took me around her, and I just fell for her. And ever since then, I've loved her. She's beautiful.
The guilt had not been manageable for Ms. Doyle. She carried it through every subsequent milestone in the relationship, including one of the most significant, Mr. Fisher's marriage proposal. He had gotten down on one knee without any knowledge of what she was holding inside, and she had said yes.
What happens in your relationship?
I told her, I went to work that day, and I was thinking about proposing to her because
while knowing the baby she was carrying might not be his, she had accepted a commitment to their future while privately uncertain about the foundation of that future. The bittersweet quality of that moment had never left her.
Because I love her. She's my world. And I got home that day, I had the ring in my pocket. I told her how I felt.
Mr. Fisher had been present and fully invested throughout the entire pregnancy. He attended the birth, provided support, and signed Sophia's birth certificate as a man who had no reason to doubt what he was signing. His commitment had been genuine and unconditional up to the point where the truth entered the picture.
I held her hand, I felt like I was the dad, which at the time, I was pretty sure I was.
The confession had not come during the pregnancy. It had come after a full month of fatherhood had already been lived. He had built the bond before the doubt arrived, and now both existed simultaneously.
But I held her. I kept telling her, push, push, push. I want to see my baby. And afterwards...
The conception timeline became its own source of distress when the court examined it. The dates aligned uncomfortably with the period of the affair rather than offering any comfortable distance from it. Mr. Fisher's engagement with the calendar during that portion of the hearing was minimal. He was a man who had bonded with a child.
We just had fun all day that day, just holding Sophia, spending time with her, just quality time. And she started looking at Sophia.
And was now being asked to sit with the possibility that the biology apology did not match the love. Some truths are harder to look at directly than others, and the courtroom understood exactly what his body language was communicating.
Sophia started crying, kept crying, and she told me she cheated on me. I tell her I love her, she's my world.
Ms. Doyle's regret was consistent and visible throughout the hearing. She was not defending what she had done, she was living with it in real time in front of a judge and an audience. The one night she had spent with a stranger based on false information had introduced a question into a relationship that no amount of remorse could retroactively remove.
For a child born on January 15th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And those dates are pretty much
Mr.
right.
Fisher's strength in that room was remarkable given what he was carrying, and Judge Lake acknowledged it without turning it into performance. Like and subscribe because the result Judge Lake is about to read will determine whether this family gets to move forward together or separately.
Pretty much right in the window of time you were on vacation in Florida and had sex with the other guy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fisher had made his position about Sophia completely clear before the envelope was opened. His love for that child was not conditional on the DNA result, whatever the science confirmed.
Before I go to the results, Ms. Doyle, is there anything you'd like to say to Mr. Fisher?
I'm sorry that it happened, and if she's
The bond he had developed over the first months of her life was real, and he was not prepared to walk away from it, regardless of what the test said. That declaration from a man visibly absorbing an enormous amount of pain was the most powerful thing said in that courtroom, and it came without prompting.
yours, then I hope that...
Let me tell you this, you ain't gotta be guilty about it no more. I know about it, and I know you're sorry. Just don't hold it on me no more. That's my baby, no matter what.
The hearing had compressed a remarkable amount of emotional complexity into a short window. A false accusation, a one-night response to that accusation, a proposal accepted under the weight of a secret, a birth certificate signed in good faith, and a confession delivered after the bond had already formed. All of it had led to this moment.
Mr. Fisher, you are the father.
Ms. Doyle sat with her guilt. Mr. Fisher sat with his love and his uncertainty. Sophia had no awareness of any of it. Judge Lake held the envelope, and the answer to whether Mr. Fisher's name on that birth certificate reflected biological truth was finally ready to be read aloud.
You can stand there with him if you'd like.
Ms. Nesbitt walked into that courtroom with her confidence fully intact and her expectations already stated. She was there to prove Mr. Henderson was the biological father of her 7-month-old daughter Diane, and she made clear that once the results confirmed it,
Well, he buy her diapers, that's about it. He doesn't do anything for my child, but buy her
she expected him to step up and actually behave like one. Mr. Henderson arrived with a different account entirely. He believed the biological father was not him, but their neighbor Mr. Brown, a man he claimed Ms. Nesbitt had been involved with around the time Diane was conceived. The hearing had a husband, a wife, a neighbor, and a baby at the center of it before the first question was asked.
But buy her diapers. He does more for my 2-year-old son that he knows that's not his, than his own daughter.
The dynamic inside this household had produced a contradiction that the courtroom noticed immediately. Mr. Henderson had been more consistently attentive to Ms. Nesbitt's older son, a child from before their relationship, than to Diane, the child he had signed a birth certificate for.
I feel that I shouldn't have to take care of another man's baby.
But you are taking care of another man's baby, right?
Yes, but at this time...
The logic of showing up more reliably for a child you have no biological claim to, while pulling back from one you have legally documented yourself as the father of, was not something Judge Lauren was prepared to let pass without examination. The pattern revealed a resentment that had been shaping his behavior toward Diane directly.
I came into this baby's life and already knew he wasn't mine, but I had a possibility that she could have been mine, but she's not, so I felt kind of hurt. So
there's a level of resentment.
The source of that resentment was not difficult to identify. Mr. Henderson was still processing the fact that Ms. Nesbitt had been unfaithful during her marriage, and his treatment of Diane reflected the bitterness that had accumulated from that betrayal. He had not been able to separate his feelings about what Ms. Nesbitt had done from his feelings.
So wait, you had asked him previously not to sign it.
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr.
Toward a 7-month-old child who had no involvement in any adult decision that had been made. Judge Lauren was tracking that distinction carefully, and it was not working in his favor.
So Mr. Henderson, And you did sign the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember having the conversation with Ms. Nesbitt that said,
Mr. Henderson had supported Ms. Nesbitt financially and emotionally throughout the pregnancy, despite carrying his doubts. He had also signed the birth certificate, a fact that raised immediate questions about the sequence of his current position. Ms. Nesbitt offered her interpretation of why he had signed it.
Come on, Your Honor, I can't be no man that's taking care of another man's baby.
okay, now I want to understand that, your doubt. Because
She believed it had been a strategic move aimed at establishing a legal foothold for potential future custody, rather than a genuine acknowledgement of paternity. His legal signature on that document and his current withdrawal of support were sitting in the same room without a clean explanation connecting them.
Because what it sounds like to me is you were at the hospital and you were really trying to convince yourself
Yes, Your
that
Honor.
this was your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
The explanation Mr. Henderson offered for stepping back from Diane's care was that Ms. Nesbitt herself had told him the baby belonged to Mr. Brown rather than to him. That statement was the pivot point of the case. A woman who had told her husband the child was the neighbor's was now standing in court, insisting the child was her husband's.
Well, let me tell you how it all began. He had sex with his cousin, and you know.
Yes, I did, but that was before her.
She
The
said
reversal was acknowledged, and it required an explanation that went beyond simply changing her mind. Judge Lauren was going to need more than a revised position from Ms. Nesbitt to make sense of the sequence.
Before her.
She said that she had sex with my little black car and they had a baby.
Or that when you was sitting in the car with your friend, when y'all left from the Riverwalk.
No, that's not true. You got her
Yes,
pregnant.
it is. It's true, Your Honor.
Ms. Nesbitt's own account of her doubt introduced a biological reasoning that the courtroom received with attention. She described a year of being with Mr. Henderson without a pregnancy resulting from their relationship. Then a single encounter with Mr. Brown had been followed quickly by a confirmed pregnancy. The timing of that sequence had led her to conclude,
Well, I doubt it because we was having unprotected sex for a year straight, and all of a sudden I had
at least at one point, that Mr. Brown was more likely the biological father. That reasoning had shaped what she told both men when she discovered she was expecting. She had informed both of them that they might be the father.
I had sex one time with Mr. Brown and I ended up getting pregnant 2 weeks later.
Mr. Brown took the stand, and his certainty about his own exclusion from the paternity question was immediate and unwavering. He did not believe Diane was his daughter, and he had come prepared to make that case visually. He produced photographs of himself as a baby and invited the court to make a comparison with Diane's current appearance.
But you did have a sexual encounter with her.
Yeah, one time.
It's like birthday sex, that was about it.
It wasn't more than she's always hit me up.
Judge Lauren received that form of evidence with the same measured response she applied to all physical comparison arguments. Photographs are not DNA, and resemblance arguments cut both ways. Mr. Brown's confidence was noted, but his evidence was not conclusive.
Hit me up and text me and all that stuff. I used to text her.
It's been going on longer than that. It was more than one.
It was just birthday sex, that
It
was
was just
it.
one
The hearing had produced a situation where both men were pointing away from themselves and toward each other, while Ms. Nesbitt stood between them, having told each one something different at different points in the
You
timeline.
had sex the one time
Just that one night on her birthday when her
and the
got into
protection
it.
broke.
I don't remember protection broke. I was buzzing a little bit, but I don't remember no protection broke. You know
A
what I'm saying?
marriage, an affair with a neighbor, a pregnancy, 2 disclosures, a signed birth certificate, and a 7-month-old daughter who had been receiving inconsistent care from the men legally documented as her father. The case had accumulated complexity faster than most. Like and subscribe, because the DNA result cuts through every contradictory statement in this hearing with one definitive answer.
Broke, you know what I'm saying? Reminds you, I just came to the comfort that one night because he got the saying we was chilling. You know what I'm saying? When I was massaging, my hands led to other places, and you know what happened after that.
The story Ms. Nesbitt had been telling had shifted depending on who she was talking to and when. The version she told Mr. Henderson had sent him away from Diane. The version she was now presenting in court was pulling him back. Mr. Brown's certainty about his own exclusion had not weakened under question.
Anything like you, in your opinion?
Nothing like. One day she had told me she didn't want to take no first. She was always asking like, "Do you mind taking a test?" I'm like, "Yeah." Then one day she called, text me like, "You don't need to take no test because I know it's his baby."
Mr. Henderson's legal signature existed alongside his emotional withdrawal, and neither fact canceled the other out. Judge Lauren had the results, and the only remaining question was which man's certainty was about to be confirmed and which one was about to be
So I know it's
dismantled.
his baby.
No, you
I guess she didn't want to hurt
Your
his
Honor,
feelings.
he's
or
the
something.
one that called me.
So wait,
Baby Diane was 7 months old and had already been the subject of more adult confusion and contradiction than any infant should have to sit at the center of. Ms. Nesbitt had come in confident, and Mr. Henderson had come in doubtful, and Mr. Brown had come in with baby photos and absolute conviction in his own exclusion. All three of them had been operating on assumptions that the laboratory had already resolved.
are not her.
Oh, hey, I told
Okay,
you.
sit down, Mr. Brown. Your name rhymes with clown, but you're not gonna clown today.
Like and subscribe, because what Judge Lauren reads from that envelope rewrites the entire story everyone in that courtroom thought they already knew. The answer was ready, and the room fell completely still.
Just calm down. Calm down. Mr. Henderson, you are her father.
Before this hearing even reached the DNA results, it had already produced a fake pregnancy, a real baby, and a paternity question involving 3 men. Miss Kavanaugh had reportedly fabricated a pregnancy at one point and sustained that deception for weeks with a level of planning that surprised even the judge.
Miss Kavanaugh, you and your mother are appearing in court today to prove paternity of your 3-week-old son, Malcolm. Now, you claim his biological father is Mr. Bowles.
Then a real pregnancy followed, and suddenly the fiction she had constructed became a courtroom crisis with an actual infant named Malcolm at the center of it. The results at the end of this case shocked everyone present, and the story that led there was unlike almost anything this courtroom had seen.
Even though you admit to being intimate with another man, Mr. McElliott, during the window of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, he's waiting outside of the courtroom, and he'll be joining us shortly.
Mr. Bowes sat in that hearing, having never laid eyes on 3-week-old Malcolm before that day. Despite never having seen the child, he arrived with complete certainty that Malcolm was not his biological son. The courtroom processed that combination of facts with visible curiosity. A man who had been intimate with Miss Kavanaugh on multiple occasions.
I believe Mr. Bowles is my son's father. Even though we wasn't in a committed relationship, we had unprotected sex frequently, and
had never met the baby, and was nevertheless absolutely certain of his own exclusion, was making a claim that required more explanation than confidence alone could provide. Judge Lake was going to need the reasoning behind the certainty.
He has not been around. He doesn't ask about my son. He probably didn't even know my son's name was Malcolm until now. And I'm just ready to prove that he is the father, because
Miss Kavanaugh's mother had inserted herself into the proceedings with a level of involvement that suggested she considered this her case as much as her daughter's. She had opinions, she had information, and she was not waiting to be asked before sharing either. Miss Kavanaugh's own account explained that she had first disclosed the pregnancy to Mr. Bowes because she had genuine feelings for him and had wanted their connection to develop into something committed. When he did not respond with the attention she was looking for, the situation moved in a different direction toward a man named Mr. Makalati.
Because my son doesn't have a voice, so I'm his voice.
There's one other person in question, and their sexual intimacy was only once, and with Mr. Bowles.
Mr. Bowes then revealed the layer of the story that reframed everything before it. He explained that Miss Kavanaugh had fabricated a pregnancy in an earlier period. She had been deeply focused on him, wanted his attention, and had manufactured the claim of a pregnancy as a way to create that connection. He had not believed her when she told him about it because his knowledge of her behavior at the time had already made him skeptical of her disclosures. He also stated that she had been involved with multiple other men during this period, not just one.
About my feelings. So yes, I did have one encounter with Mr. McElliott, but I felt like I wanted to do that to make him jealous because I want him to see that somebody else wants me and maybe he would want me.
The fake pregnancy had been executed with enough planning to sustain it beyond a single conversation. Miss Kavanaugh had kept the deception going for weeks before it unraveled. Mr. Bowes' immediate skepticism, when she later announced a real pregnancy, was rooted in the memory of the fabricated one.
I went to the store, got a pregnancy test, was going to take 2 negatives, turn it into a positive, and when,
Take 2 negatives and turn it into a positive.
Yes, crack them open and turn them into a positive.
Oh, and put 2 of the lines together.
That history of deception had permanently damaged his ability to take her disclosures at face value, regardless of what she was telling him. The courtroom understood his position, even if they did not fully endorse his behavior in response to it.
So you had a plan to pretend you were pregnant in order to keep him. And then what happened?
Well, I took both of the tests, Your Honor, and I went to go eat, and I came back and they were both positive.
Mr. Bowes had not been without his own conduct issues during this period. Something he had said to Miss Kavanaugh during her first month of actual pregnancy had been sharp enough to be worth noting in the hearing, despite everything he had said about her and done during this time.
I didn't want to have sex anymore until we were in a committed relationship. We fell asleep because I was tired. He wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and tells me he's going to go have sex with another woman.
What?
Yeah,
Ms. Kavanaugh still carried feelings for him, a detail the courtroom found genuinely difficult to process given the full picture of his behavior. The emotional attachment she held onto, despite the treatment she had received, was its own subplot running beneath the paternity question.
Yeah, so
You wake her up to tell her
We
that?
wasn't together, so I can leave and go back to my house and do whatever.
And yes, I did chase him out of my house because I don't see why you would. Any woman. Any woman.
Mr. Makalati entered the hearing and brought a noticeably different energy than Mr. Bose had carried. Ms. Kavanaugh had informed him about the pregnancy by sending him an ultrasound image and noting a resemblance to his family. He had signed the birth certificate not because he was certain the child was his.
Ms. Kavanaugh, I would say, is a very special one. Me and her, we met, we hooked up and went out to eat or something like that.
But because the ongoing uncertainty had become exhausting, and starting a family with Miss Kavanaugh was something he was genuinely open to. His willingness to sign under those circumstances said something about his character that the courtroom registered. Then he disclosed something that changed the shape of the case again.
Like that. But ever since,
So you took her on dates and courted her and treated her like a lady should be treated?
always.
Good.
Mr. Makalati revealed that there was a third man involved, a separate encounter that had taken place during a night that apparently involved alcohol and a context that had not been fully disclosed before this moment. The courtroom absorbed that revelation and the questions it generated.
Who do you think he looks like?
I want to say Mr. Bowles, but you can't always go on looks. But I just have I have a feeling. I would be very pleased and very happy if it was Mr. McElliott's because he would be a good father.
Miss Kavanaugh was now at the center of a paternity case involving 3 potential fathers, and the original fake pregnancy story was no longer even the most complicated part of the hearing. Like and subscribe, because what follows this disclosure involves Miss Kavanaugh's mother and a moment in that courtroom that nobody who watched it forgot.
Father. But I just don't know.
Do you?
Miss Kavanaugh's mother had been vocal throughout the hearing, but her response to the evolving revelations pushed Judge Lake to address the situation with the kind of directness she reserved for moments when the proceedings needed to be reset from the ground up. Both mother and daughter received a firm education in courtroom conduct.
Third party or something that was included in this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's true, Your Honor.
Oh, nah, it's true.
That's true, Your Honor.
A third party?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please elaborate on the third party.
It was.
And the appropriate scope of the hearing. It was swift, and it was comprehensive, and it left both of them considerably quieter than they had been. The bickering did not end entirely, but it lost its momentum after Judge Lake finished speaking.
It was a very drunken night, and it was a one-night stand.
Do you remember whether you used protection or not?
No, that's why I think it may be another person, but I'm not quite sure.
3 men were now connected to this case. Mr. Bose, who had been intimate with Miss Kavanaugh and arrived with absolute certainty he was not the father. Mr. Makalati, who had signed the birth certificate and was open to fatherhood regardless of biology.
That's something I don't understand, though. Men like yours having sex all over, but I just don't understand why people can't.
Well, since we want to go to school, let me take you there. Bear the children. Meaning.
And a third man whose connection to the case had emerged through a single disclosure that Mr. Makalati had brought into the hearing. Like and subscribe, because the DNA results are about to tell this entire courtroom which of these 3 men's certainty or willingness has any biological basis behind
Meaning,
it.
they can orbit in uncertainty indefinitely, not knowing whether or not they're the father, when we know for certain and we are responsible. And that's the difference we have to teach our young girls.
Baby Malcolm was 3 weeks old and had already been at the center of more adult complexity than most children encounter in years. Miss Kavanaugh had arrived in this courtroom carrying a history that included a fabricated pregnancy, a real one with overlapping possibilities.
Daughter learned was a very valuable lesson. Who you gonna lay down with, right? And look, you cannot baby or trick him into having his baby.
And I never said that she could.
It's true. Look.
And a mother who had complicated the proceedings further. Mr. Bose had been certain and cold. Mr. Makalati had been uncertain and open. The third man had a connection and no name attached to it in the record. Judge Lake prepared to deliver the result that would determine which of these threads actually connected to Malcolm's biology.
These aren't lessons just your daughter has to learn. Listen, a lot of women in this courtroom had to learn it.
Your Honor,
You got to respect yourself
Every detail of the hearing had been building toward one answer. The fake pregnancy had set the context. The real pregnancy had raised the stakes. The three potential fathers had each brought different levels of certainty and different levels of willingness into the room. Miss Kavanaugh had sat at the center of all of it while her mother amplified the chaos.
Are not his father. Mr. Bowles, you.
Judge Lake held the envelope with the composure of someone who had presided over complicated cases before but recognized the particular density of this one. The results were in, and the courtroom held its breath as she prepared to read them aloud.
Are not his father. Calm down.